My name is Natalie Hartman. I'm 32 years old. There's supposed to be this moment before you walk down the aisle where you feel weightless, floating on nerves and joy and the kind of happiness that makes your hands shake, even if you trust the person waiting for you. I didn't feel that. I felt off. Not because of Mark. I love Mark, still do. If anything, he's the only part of this whole circus that felt solid. It was everything around us that felt wrong, tilted, like the room was on a slight angle, and I was the only one who'd noticed. Let me rewind a bit. By day, I'm a software consultant, the kind of person who lives in spreadsheets, bug tickets, and color-coded calendars. By night, I'm a recreational sandwich snob. I can and will judge your entire character based on how you layer meat and condiments. I grew up in Michigan, middle kid. My older sister Heather has always been the golden child. Cheer captain, valedictorian, got engaged in Paris under the Eiffel Tower. My parents cried when she graduated. When I did, they asked if I got sunburned during the ceremony. No joke. That's still the caption under my graduation photo on Facebook. Our tomato girl. Heather and I were never close. She has this talent for making everything about her in a way that somehow impresses people instead of annoying them. Heather just has presence, my mom always says. She walks into a room and you feel her. Yeah, mostly because she announces her arrival like a Beyoncé tour. My younger brother Kyle was the oops baby. He got away with everything because he was the last one, which made me... what? The filler season? The mid-series recap episode no one asked for. So when I got engaged to Mark, I had one small, fragile hope. Maybe, just maybe, my family would show up for me this time. Not in a Heather makes a toast about herself way, just be present. Sit in chairs with their whole chests. Clap at the right moments. Remember it was my day too. Mark proposed with a ring he bought secondhand after months of saving. He was shaking when he did it, right in our tiny kitchen, between a pile of unwashed dishes and a half-burnt frozen pizza. I said yes before he finished the question. He was my person. But my family, they were not my people. Not really. We started planning the wedding. Nothing huge, 30 guests total. We wanted it small, personal, not Pinterest viral. Mark's family flew in from Colorado, a dozen strong, all polite and genuinely excited. His dad cried when he saw me in a dress for the first time. His mom kept sneaking photos on her tablet like a proud grandmother in training. His cousin Zoe, the one with adult braces and zero shame, brought a thoughtful gift and 3 jokes about wedding night survival kits. Meanwhile, every conversation with my family felt like an afterthought. The real earthquake came in the form of a group text from Heather. OMG, everyone! Baby shower date is set. Brunch at 11 on June 12th. Block your calendars. I stared at my phone. My stomach dropped. June 12th. My wedding reception was on June 12th. Same city, same time. I messaged her privately. Hey, that's my wedding day, and that's during the reception. She replied in 2 seconds. It's just brunch, Nat. Chill. It'll be done before your dinner even starts. Right, because nothing says, relax, it's your big day, like knowing your family is speed-running mimosas so they can maybe stumble into your vows later. Mark tried to stay positive. Maybe it's just bad timing, he said, rubbing my shoulders. I'm sure they'll make it work. The thing is, I knew better. This was not a we'll make it work family. This was a we'll make you work around Heather family. 2 weeks before the wedding, my mom texted me, Honey, we're so proud of you. Do you know what cupcakes Heather's having yet? Maybe you could stop by for one before your ceremony. I stared at that text so long the screen dimmed. No. Do you need help setting up? No. How are you feeling, sweetie? Just cupcakes. And a casual suggestion that I swing by my sister's baby shower like a side quest on the way to my own marriage. I showed the message to Mark. He laughed so hard he nearly cried. I didn't. Because deep down, I already knew how this was going to go, and it wasn't going to be in my favor. Then the day came. You'd think I'd be obsessing over my vows, or whether I'd cry when Mark saw me walking down the aisle. Spoiler, I did. Full ugly cry. Mascara doing interpretive dance down my cheeks. But as I stood in front of the mirror, smoothing down my dress, the only thing I could think was, how many seats on my side will be empty? The ceremony itself was beautiful. Mark's brother built the arch we stood under. The sun hit the windows just right, casting this soft glow over everything. For a moment, it didn't matter who wasn't there. Then came the reception. The room was split in two, a long hall with tables on either side of the dance floor. Mark's side, packed, buzzing. Laughter, clinking glasses, Zoe starting an impromptu karaoke session with an old mic she accidentally brought. My side, 6 people. 2 were college friends who barely knew anyone else. One was my old neighbor Doris, who brought a book because receptions can be long, dear. The other 3 were coworkers, whose main motivation was free cake and the chance to see if Mark's cousin was single. I stood in the middle of the room trying to act like it didn't matter, but it did. It mattered because I had 32 years of "we'll be there for you" echoing in my head, and now I was staring at a row of empty chairs like abandoned promises. The DJ played September by Earth, Wind and Fire, my pick. The dance floor filled up on Mark's side. His cousin did the worm. His grandmother attempted the robot. Someone formed a conga line. My mom, meanwhile, was at Heather's baby shower, posting photos of tiny shoes and an avocado-shaped cake with the caption, "The real celebration today, our baby girl is almost here." No tag, no mention, not even a "congrats Natalie and Mark." I stood behind the DJ booth pretending to check the playlist while scrolling her feed. Each photo landed like a slap. Heather posing with balloons that said, "Oh baby." Heather holding a fake champagne flute. Heather opening a gift labeled "Poop Explosion Survival Kit." Mom laughing like it was the comedy event of the year. I didn't realize how tight I was gripping my phone until Mark slipped beside me and touched my hand. "They'll regret it one day," he said quietly. I didn't answer, not because I disagreed, but because just then my phone buzzed. Then again, and again. At first, I thought, maybe someone finally realized they missed something important. Maybe someone's going to say, "We're on our way." No, Dad. 12 missed calls, then 13, then 18. By the time I really looked, it said 51 missed calls, 1 message. "Urgent, call me now." The bass dropped into the room right as my stomach did. Lights dimmed, the crowd on Mark's side cheered, and my phone might as well have been a grenade in my hand. I put it on silent. I was done picking up their messes in a wedding dress. I tried to ignore it. I really did. Mark and I cut the cake. We smiled for photos with his parents, his cousins, Zoe, shouting, "Look aggressively in love," from behind the camera. But the itch in my chest wouldn't go away. My family never called 51 times for a real emergency. They called that much when the Wi-Fi went out, or when Heather lost her Instagram password, or when Dad couldn't find the HDMI port on his TV. During dessert, I slipped outside. The night air was cool and quiet in that way that makes your thoughts louder. I stared at my phone for a second, then hit call. Ring, ring, click. "About damn time," Dad answered. "Where the hell have you been?" I blinked. "Where do you think I've been, Dad? I'm at my wedding reception." "You should have answered earlier," he snapped. "I've been getting married," I said, my voice going flat. "You know, that thing you RSVP'd to and then ghosted?" There was a pause. No apology. Of course not. Instead, he pivoted. "Heather's in labor." I went still. "Wait, what?" "She went into early labor during the shower. We're at the hospital now. Your mom's here. Kyle's here. Heather's asking for you. You need to come." I looked at my watch. 8:42 p.m. "You're calling me," I said slowly, "from the hospital where you took my entire family on my wedding night, to tell me I need to leave my own reception." "She's scared," he said. "She wants her sister." "I wanted my parents, Mami eins," I replied. "I wanted my family in the seats we reserved for them. I wanted you to show up for me once without making me share the spotlight with Heather." "You're being dramatic," he snapped. "No," I said, suddenly calm. "I'm being honest." There was a beat of silence. I could hear hospital sounds in the background, a monitor beeping, a nurse talking softly. Mom's voice, muffled. Then she came on the line. "Natalie, honey, we're so sorry about the timing, but she's our baby. You know how early labor can go, and she asked for you." "I asked for you," I said. "I asked both of you to be there, to show up for me, and you chose a brunch with diapers and duck-themed cupcakes instead." "She's giving us a granddaughter," Mom said. Like that explained everything. "I was giving you a son-in-law," I replied. "A family, a moment." Silence. "You're still welcome to come," Mom said eventually. "She'd love to see you." I stared back at the venue, the warm glow spilling through the windows. Somewhere inside, Mark was probably wondering where I'd gone. My almost empty side of the hall flickered in my memory like a bad photo. "I'm not coming," I said. "Natalie, don't be like this." "I'm being like this," I said quietly, "because for once, I'm choosing me." And I hung up. For a long moment, I just stood there in the parking lot, dress pooling around my feet, breathing like the air was made of broken glass. Then I went back inside. Mark saw my face instantly. Well? He asked. I shook my head. He nodded once, like he'd expected that answer all along. The planner dimmed the lights. Candles flickered. Dessert was served to tables that were half empty, but filled with the right people. Mark handed me a cupcake he'd baked himself, chocolate raspberry, my favorite. Eat this, he said softly, or I swear I'll feed it to you aggressively. I laughed, just a little. I told them I'm not going, I said. You sure? Yeah. The DJ put on a slow song. The dance floor cleared. Just us. We danced alone in the middle of that too-big room, surrounded by untouched plates on my side and loud, joyful chaos on his. It should have felt tragic. Instead, for the first time in my life, it felt clean. Like someone finally hit reset on a game I'd been losing since childhood. I rested my head on Mark's shoulder and thought, if this is the family that shows up for me, maybe this is the only family I really need. I had no idea the real fallout hadn't even started yet. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating nonstop on the nightstand. For half a second, I forgot what day it was. I reached for Mark, felt the warm weight of his arm around my waist, the hotel sheets tangled around us. Sunlight pushed through the curtains in thin, forgiving lines. It could have been any lazy Sunday. Then I saw the screen. Family group chat. 74 new messages. My stomach turned. I unlocked the phone. There she was. Heather, sweaty but radiant in that annoying way she always managed, clutching a squishy pink bundle in a hospital bed. Photo after photo after photo. Heather with the baby. Mom kissing the baby. Dad holding the baby like he'd just personally invented her. Captions from Mom. Our brave girl. No epidural. Just strength and love. Welcome our little angel to the world. Comments rolled underneath. Beautiful. So happy for you, Heather. Such a special day for your family. Congratulations, Grandma and Grandpa. Nothing about the wedding. Not one. Also congrats to Natalie and Mark, who, by the way, got married yesterday. No one tagged me. A new message pinged in. Kyle. Yo, she had the baby? Everyone's freaking out. Where were you? Where was I? At my own wedding, Kyle. The event you promised you wouldn't miss for the world, as long as there was an open bar. I stared at the text until the words blurred. I could feel Mark stirring beside me. Morning, he mumbled, voice rough. He rolled onto his back and rubbed his eyes. What time is... Oh. He frowned at my face. What happened? I turned the screen toward him. He scrolled for maybe 5 seconds before his jaw tightened. Wow, he said flatly. They really went with the pretend the wedding didn't exist strategy. Another text popped up, this time from Dad, directly to me. You should have been there. She asked for you. You really let her down. Something in my chest went cold. Let her down. I thought of my half-empty side of the hall, the untouched chairs, my mother's caption, the real celebration today. Mark saw the message too. His expression shifted from anger to something like disgust. You've got to be kidding me, he whispered. The old version of me wanted to reply, to explain myself, to apologize for what? Choosing my own wedding? But another part of me, the part that had walked back into that reception and chosen to dance, sat up straight. I opened the settings, went to Dad's contact, and hit block. I did the same for Mom. Not forever, I told myself. I wasn't staging some epic dramatic exit. I just could not keep letting their voices live rent-free in my head, charging me interest and guilt. Mark watched quietly. You okay? Not really, I admitted. But I think I will be. He was quiet for a beat, then reached for his phone. What are you doing? I asked. Something I probably should have done sooner. He opened the family group chat. I could see his thumb flying across the keyboard. Mark. Okay, I tried to stay out of this, but I can't watch this anymore. Yesterday, Natalie walked into a room where her side of the hall looked like the DMV waiting area, because almost all of you chose a baby shower over her wedding. Then you guilted her for not leaving her own reception to come to the hospital. That's not love. That's emotional convenience. My eyes widened. Mark, Too much? He asked. Not enough? Before I could answer, the dots appeared. Kyle, not the time, man. Mom. Mark, we're all very emotional right now. This isn't about taking sides. Dad, we love all our children equally. This was just bad timing. That line, like a trigger. We love all our children equally. The sentence only ever spoken by parents who absolutely do not. I took the phone from Mark's hand and typed, fingers steady, me. If you love us equally, why were 27 people at Heather's shower and 6 at my reception? And please don't say scheduling issue. You set the date. You picked it. You RSVP'd to it. You knew for 6 months when my wedding was. Silence. The little typing bubble appeared, then vanished. Finally, Heather. I'm sorry you felt unsupported, Nat. Yesterday was about the baby. Not everything has to be about you. I laughed. Out loud. A short, sharp sound. Felt unsupported, I muttered. Did she take a master class in passive-aggressive gaslighting? Mark snorted. Probably taught it. I typed again. It's not a feeling. It's a head count. It's a row of empty chairs. It's a missing toast. It's 51 missed calls that weren't congratulations, but drop everything for us again. Then I muted the thread. I didn't leave it, but I turned the volume all the way down. I put my phone face down on the nightstand and exhaled. My hands were shaking, but under the adrenaline, there was this odd quiet. We don't owe them anything, Mark said softly. I know, I replied, and for the first time, I almost believed it. Around noon, there was a knock on our apartment door. We weren't supposed to be home. We were supposed to be floating in post-wedding bliss, somewhere with complimentary champagne and towels folded into swans. Instead, we were back early, storing leftover cupcakes in our tiny freezer and arguing about whether we needed 3 waffle makers. I'll get it, Mark said, padding over in sweats. A small package sat on the doorstep. No return address, just my name in my mother's handwriting. Curvy and careful. Instant dread. I opened it on the kitchen counter. Inside was a pink organza favor bag, tied with ribbon. Baby feet printed on the front. A tiny jar candle, a mini bottle of hand lotion, a sugar cookie shaped like a rattle iced with, "It's a girl," and a folded note. Since you missed it, it read, thought you still want one. Love, Heather. Mark looked from the bag to my face. She did not. Oh, she did, I said, my voice eerily calm. Something inside me snapped, but not in the way I expected. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. A strange, almost amused clarity washed over me. If I eat this cookie out of spite, I asked, do I go to hell? Mark tilted his head. Only if you post it on Instagram. I picked up the cookie. It was meticulously decorated. Tiny pink dots, white bow, perfect cursive. The exact kind of detail my mother had not cared to show my wedding. Get your phone, I said. Mark's eyes lit up. Oh, we're doing this. He filmed as I held the baby rattle cookie up to the camera, smile sharp enough to cut glass. When you're so uninvited to your own family, I said, that you get party favors mailed to you the next day. Hashtag not bitter, hashtag just married. Then I took a huge bite. We posted it to my account. Within an hour, it had over 100 likes, mostly from Mark's relatives, my coworkers, and a few friends who didn't even know the full story but could smell the drama through the screen. Your aunt just commented, Mark said later, scrolling. She wrote, I knew there was a reason I liked you more than your mother. I burst out laughing for real that time. The sound felt rusty and brand new all at once. That afternoon, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Hello? Natalie? I froze. Grandma? Who else? Grandma Jean said. Her voice was thinner than I remembered, but still had that tough, no-nonsense edge. Your father changed numbers more times than I've changed my hair, so I had to bribe your cousin for yours. Emotion hit me like a wave. Hi, Grandma. I saw the photos, she said. Of the wedding, not the baby. I've seen enough potatoes and hats to last a lifetime. I choked on a laugh. You looked beautiful, she continued. That dress, the lights, that man of yours who looks at you like you hung the moon. I printed one and put it on my mantle. My throat went tight. You did? Of course I did. Don't cry now. I can hear it through the phone. Your dad didn't raise a crier. She paused. Though apparently he also didn't raise a man who knows how to show up when it matters. I let out a breath that was half laugh, half sob. Grandma, I raised your father better than this, she said, voice firm. But you know men. They think attendance is optional until someone reads them their own obituary. Grandma! I'm old, not blind, she sniffed. I heard the rustle of paper. Listen to me, Natalie. If they try to guilt you, and they will, let them sit in it. That baby is going to be showered with love for the rest of her life. She'll be fine. What you did yesterday, choosing to stay at your own wedding with the people who actually showed up, that was real. My eyes burned. Thank you. And don't tell anyone I said this, she added in a conspiratorial whisper. But your cupcakes kicked Heather's cake's butt. I saw the pictures. Hers looked like a Pinterest fail. I wiped my cheeks. That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Good. Then remember it. I love you, kiddo, and I'm proud of you. Not just for getting married, for finally drawing a line. After we hung up, I stood in the kitchen for a long moment, phone pressed to my chest. Mark walked in, drying his hands on a dish towel. Everything okay? Yeah, I said softly. I think for the first time in a long time, yeah. Not every branch of my family tree was rotten, but the ones that were, I didn't have to keep climbing them and pretending I couldn't feel them cracking under my feet. Before we even finished unloading our wedding gifts from the car, my phone buzzed again. A Facebook tag. I didn't want to look. Every instinct told me not to, but curiosity is a terrible disease, and I was already infected. I opened the app. There it was, posted by my mother. A collage. On the left, Heather in her hospital bed, glowing like a smug fertility goddess, holding the newborn. On the right, Mark and me at the altar, cropped so tightly that half my head was missing. The caption read, "What a weekend! Our family was doubly blessed. A beautiful new marriage and a precious new life. Love multiplies, #proud parents, #wedding weekend, #double joy." Double joy. I read it once, twice, 5 times, hoping at some point my brain would accept it as satire. Mark glanced over my shoulder. "Oh no," he murmured. "Nope, nope. No one posts that without malicious intent." I scrolled down to the comments. "Congratulations, Heather. She's gorgeous. Such a special moment for your family. Baby girl is going to have the best auntie in the world." Auntie. Not Natalie, not the bride, not even a mention of Mark. Comments stood out. "Wait, Natalie got married this weekend?" Cue circus music. Cue flames. Cue me scream laughing internally while also dying a little. I didn't reply. Didn't like it. Didn't add a passive-aggressive emoji. I just stared until my vision blurred. Mark wrapped an arm around my waist. "Are you okay?" "No," I whispered. "I feel edited, like they photoshopped me into someone else's celebration." He kissed the top of my head. "That's because they tried to." And that was the thing. That was the exact feeling gnawing inside my stomach. I wasn't just overshadowed. I was attached, tacked on, cropped in. It wasn't new. A memory slammed into my chest. When I was 9, I got a Game Boy for my birthday. I was over the moon. I'd never owned anything that cool. Heather, 12 at the time, threw a tantrum. A full Broadway-level breakdown because she didn't get one too. My parents, exhausted and eager to shut her up, handed her the box and said, "Just let Heather open it for the picture." I stood in the background of that photo, smiling through confusion, as my sister held my gift. The picture is still in the hallway of their house. Heather looks delighted. I look blurry. I hadn't thought about that moment in years, but the feeling was the same. Being blurry in my own life. Being the caption, never the headline. Bashaman. I set my phone face down. My hands felt numb. "Okay," Mark said gently. "We're getting out of here. Zoe and Logan invited us for drinks. Let's go decompress with people who aren't allergic to accountability." I nodded. Good idea. Amazing idea. At the bar, aka Sanctuary for Emotionally Neglected Newlyweds. Zoe spotted us immediately and waved her arms like she was landing a plane. She wore a sequined jacket for no reason. Logan, her husband, was sipping a mojito like he was auditioning for a tourism commercial. "Girl," Zoe announced the second we sat down, "I saw that Facebook post. I am still recovering from the cringe." Logan shook his head. "Double joy? More like double homicide." Zoe gasped theatrically. "BOGO betrayal." Mark snorted. "Buy one joy, get one trauma-free." I let out a choking laugh I didn't realize I needed so badly. Zoe leaned in. "Listen, your wedding was gorgeous, and your family deciding to host a rival event 10 blocks away? Psychotic. But them then acting like you overshadowed them? That is Olympic-level delusion." Logan lifted his glass. "To delusion. May your in-laws never catch it." Mark clinked glasses with him. Too late. "And that cropped photo," Zoe continued. "Honey, you weren't even the main character in a picture of your own wedding. I had to zoom out emotionally just to cope." I covered my face with both hands. "Please stop. I'm going to scream." "There she goes," Zoe announced proudly. "Real laughter. She lives." By the time we finished a round of cocktails and a basket of fries Zoe called healing snacks, I felt something I hadn't felt since the ceremony. Like I wasn't alone. Like Mark's people, my people now, weren't just relatives. They were a protective pack with jokes sharper than knives. Zoe suddenly pointed at me with a French fry. "You know, babe, sometimes family isn't DNA. Sometimes family is the people who show up with cocktails and talk trash about your mother." Mark squeezed my hand under the table. She's right. And she was, sitting in that bar, with people who hadn't known me since birth, but still treated me better than those who had, I realized something quietly devastating. The people who chose me felt more like family than the people I had spent my life trying to earn. Later that night, Mark and I curled up on the couch, half watching a cooking show, half scrolling through honeymoon destinations. I rested my head on his shoulder. Do you think it'll always be like this? Me versus them? He shook his head. It won't be versus them, because you're done playing. You're not fighting for their approval anymore. I thought about that. Done playing. Done competing. Done begging. Done being blurry. I hope so, I whispered. Mark kissed my forehead. I know so. Boom. Of course, the universe couldn't let me feel peaceful for too long. Because the very next morning, my father sent a text like he was summoning an employee to a meeting. Dad, family dinner on Sunday. Be there. No, please. No, we'd like to see you. No apology. Just a command. Mark raised an eyebrow when he saw it. Do you want me to come with you? No, I said. I'll handle it. Are you sure? I nodded. If you come, my mom will turn you into the villain. This is something I need to face alone. Mark leaned forward, kissed my cheek, and said, Then when you get back, I'm ordering pizza, and you're telling me everything. I smiled. Deal. I didn't know it yet, but that family dinner was about to become the moment everything finally snapped. Sunday evening came faster than I expected, faster than I wanted. Mark offered one last time to come with me. Actually, he offered 3 more times while I got ready, but I told him no. This wasn't a 2-person battle. This was 50 pounds of emotional history I had to carry alone. Text me if you need an extraction, he said, holding my jacket like a gentleman/bodyguard. I'll bring Zoe. She'll cause a distraction. Logan will hotwire their car. We'll get you out. I laughed, kissed him, and stepped out into the evening. But my chest was already tightening. The dining room performance. My parents' house looked the same as it always did. Perfect lawn, pastel seasonal wreath, porch light that flickered like a warning. Mom opened the door before I even knocked. Hi, honey, she said softly. Her voice dipped in sweetness, like she was marinating guilt with affection. The dining room table was already set for a mini Thanksgiving audition. Fancy plates, cloth napkins folded into swans, candles, a centerpiece that was probably stolen from Heather's shower leftovers. Everyone else was already seated. Heather sat like royalty, baby in her arms, basking in soft compliments from Mom. Kyle sat beside her, scrolling his phone like he was bored of fatherhood already. Dad stood at the head of the table, arms folded like a CEO, ready to conduct a performance review. Glad you came, Dad said. I nodded and took a seat. For a few minutes, we pretended to be normal. We passed chicken and potatoes. Heather cooed over the baby. Mom commented about how tired she was from such an emotional weekend, as if she'd been birthing twins, not eating cupcakes. Then Dad cleared his throat, and I felt the shift. The air got heavy, the way it does right before a storm. So, he said, we wanted to talk. Oh boy, there it was. Mom folded her hands like she was about to enter a prayer circle. We know you were hurt, she began carefully, by how things went, and by how things looked. How you all acted, I corrected. Her eyes flickered. It was never our intention to hurt you. I nodded slowly. You know what else wasn't your intention? Showing up. Heather rolled her eyes. Oh my God, are we still doing this? Yes, I said. We are still doing this, because I walked into the biggest day of my life and saw a ghost town on my side of the hall. And while Mark's relatives danced, my own mother was posting pictures of an avocado baby cake with the caption, "The real celebration today." Kyle muttered under his breath, "Drama." I ignored him. You could have rescheduled the shower, I said, or shown up for at least the ceremony, or the vows. Anything. Mom looked wounded. Heather was in early labor. No, I snapped. Heather was in labor after the shower. At the time of the shower, she was carrying balloons and eating quiche. Silence. No one could argue with that. Dad leaned forward, elbows on the table. We're here now. Isn't that what matters? Can't we move forward? Sure, I said, but you need to hear something first. I reached into my jacket pocket. Their eyes followed my hand like I was about to pull out a subpoena. I unfolded a single piece of paper. My chest tightened. This, I said quietly, is the speech I wrote for the wedding. I never got to read it. Mom's eyes glistened. Heather looked at her cuticles. Kyle paused his scrolling for the first time all night. I took a breath and began reading. No. The speech they never heard. When I was a kid, I thought love meant showing up. Sitting in the stands at a school play, clapping at the science fair even if my volcano didn't erupt, being there on birthdays without conditions. I didn't get much of that growing up. But somehow, I never stopped hoping for it. And then I met Mark. Mark showed up for everything. The good days, the bad ones, the I hate my job rants. Every moment. Big, small, messy, boring, he stayed. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Love doesn't just say, I'm proud of you. Love says, I'm here. I'm staying. I won't disappear when it's inconvenient. So this speech, it wasn't for the guests who came. It was for the ones who stayed, and for the one who never left. The room was silent when I folded the paper. Mom was crying. Dad looked stunned. Kyle stared at the table. Heather was scrolling again. I placed the speech beside my plate. I wrote that for my wedding, I said, but I didn't get to read it because the people it was written for weren't there. I stood up. Dinner was untouched. Thank you for the food, I said, but this doesn't fix anything, and I'm done begging you to show up for me. I walked to the door. Mom half stood. Natalie, please. But I had already stepped outside, and for the first time in my life, the air felt clean. The aftermath. 2 days later, I got a text from Heather. You're seriously acting like we ruined your entire life over one missed event. You're a grown woman crying over chairs. Get over it. I didn't reply. Then another. You need help. Still nothing. Then a third. At least I didn't make my wedding all about me. I put my phone down, face up this time, so I could watch each message lose power the moment it landed. The letter that changed everything. That evening, Mark came home holding a plain white envelope. Guess who sent us a real handwritten letter, he said, waving it. My heart squeezed when I saw the return address. Grandma Jean. Inside was a cream-colored card. Your wedding was beautiful. The pictures don't lie. Love was present, even if some people weren't. P.S. I left a little something inside. For the future you're building, not the one others skipped. A check fell out. 5,000. I covered my mouth with both hands. Grandma, no, she didn't. She did, Mark whispered, awe in his voice. We stood there together, holding that letter like it was made of something sacred, because it was. No guilt, no conditions, no competition, just love, pure, uncomplicated love. We cried a little, we laughed a lot. Then we did the most poetic thing possible, used it to book a honeymoon somewhere warm, quiet, and blissfully light on Wi-Fi. The final text. Right before we left, as we were zipping our suitcases, my phone buzzed with one last notification. Heather had sent us an invite. A digital flyer for Welcome Baby Brunch. Mark stared at it for 3 seconds. Then he tapped decline with the enthusiasm of a man swatting a mosquito. He looked at me. Too soon? He asked, smirking. I wrapped my arms around his neck and kissed him. Too late, I said. And just like that, we walked out the door, traveled toward a life built on people who show up, and finally, left the blurry background behind.